All right, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to Eve Station Trading episode 46 at the eve of the 9-4 fight. Well, with tie-dye and all that, it's kind of hard to see anything else besides just the keep star, so... Can't hear anything. Can you hear me now? Hopefully I'm coming through. Ooh. Mic test, mic test. It's weird because I actually didn't change anything. Alright, hopefully sound's coming through. The levels look like it's coming through at least. Ah, fleet comes. Okay, great. Well, that's all good. Just a quick thing. Well, welcome to episode 46 of Eve Station Trading. Man, actually, I got this we got this 9-4 thing going on right now. Then actually, we have some battle reports. Actually, one big battle report to show you guys as far as events that was happening in Provi. So yeah, it's pretty good. A couple of things to go over as well. Of course, our contracts. Nothing nearly as juicy, to be honest. But I definitely have some thoughts on this. So this is my first foray into like an actual solve engagements and stuff like that, and I'm actually in cap fleets and stuff. So, but even with that, man, it's just, man, I definitely have some criticisms over the system, and with the structure changes that are coming up. I mean, I myself don't own structures, but from the general sentiment seems to be that it's going to continue to favor the defenders for the most part. I may be absolutely wrong in that because I just don't know the nitty gritty of it. But no, we may explore that. All right, but as per usual, we'll carry on with our review of last week's picks. Last week's picks were pretty pedestrian, to be honest. So there shouldn't be anything crazy from these. I think most will be pretty good picks. All right, we'll start off with our buys that we called out last week. We're going to start off with the Genulution Core Augmentation CA2. All right, we called this as a buy, so let's go back 7 days here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That was a late call for a buy too. Wow. I think if I remember correctly, I actually had the caveat of, oh, this would have been a better buy, like go back 2-3 days from that, right? So even with that though, that actually still picked up. Let's do a show info on this real quick. What's the draw here? Cap recharge time minus 1.5%. CPU output bonus at 1.5%. And an intelligence modifier of 3 points. That's not bad. So going back 7 days again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Average of 180 mil. And it's sold at one point as close as 200. About 10%, right? 11%. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah, on a late call like that too. That's not bad. Volume hasn't changed a whole lot, so it would have been pretty consistent. If you would you have actually had a good time capturing this on buys? It's really tough, I think. It's really tough. It seems like for the most part, a lot of the action is predominantly on sell, right? Because it's going up, so it may actually genuinely have been difficult to capture this as a buy. We'll see. Hopefully, someone made a lot of money on that, moving as much as 75 a day. Maybe not so much, but for someone with not a lot of funds. This was a mainstay for me when I didn't have a whole lot of funding for my trading. Implants were definitely a mainstay for me because they were very consistent. All right, next one we called out nitrogen isotope. I just bought. Oh, actually, I'm trying to buy a bunch of these right now. It seems like every 2 weeks I literally, for my jump freighter, I end up buying like, I don't know, maybe a full tank. I usually burn through a full tank in about a week and a half. So that's 10,000 M3. Oh, it kept moving. It kept moving sideways, but then it had some really crazy activity in the last 3 days. All right, so let's see if we can break this down. So let's go back 7 days on this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 719. Okay. And then now it's sitting at 739. 719 to 739. Actually, no, I shouldn't use that because if you look at this Danchin, man, this Danchin is really wide. Some really very outlier behavior here. This as much as 1,000 at one point. That's pretty crazy. Well, 719, 739. Let's go by that. %, sell to sell, yeah. So it's a lot healthier on the buy side. It looks like at least in the last 7 days, more sell action versus people dumping into buys. So looks like someone bought all the supply. Yeah, it really did. Quickness too, the real quickness. So that's a very good observation there. That's what it looks like, but it's very difficult to actually capture universal supply like that on something so widespread like topes, even if it is the inherently the racial isotope, right, Caldari, for nitrogen. I think that would have been a decent play. It might not have yielded the most, but there would have been opportunities, hopefully, within the last 2-3 days for you to cash out, even if you bought it at that 719 point. That's pretty good. Next one's advanced PI as a category. Most of them were like really, really cheap. And we were actually explaining that last week to where people are just dumping it. It's a lot like as an activity, getting PI alts. People just get PI and they just collect it. They just collect it and wait for an opportunity to dump it into the market or hold on to it and create large inventories of them in order to feed factory planets. All right, but let's go take a look. was actually about to call that again this week. I was like, oh wait, I already called it last week. So it's like that. It's still probably at that level. Wow, broadcast nodes even went further down. That's interesting. 90-day lows. That's interesting. It's pretty drastic too. Like literally, someone just went, "Yeah, I need cash. Dump broadcast nodes." That's basically what happened. They just matched it to buy orders hard. I used to make I never used to make broadcasts. Actually, yeah, I did. I did at one point, but I didn't do it so often because it's a lot of times it's not an inherently profitable one to do. But it looks like a lot of people, not necessarily a lot of people, but someone dumped a lot of broadcast nodes right into the buy side. There may have been some opportunity on integrity response drones if you bought them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, no, not really. Such little movement, man. It's basically moving sideways. It's basically going sideways. It is what it is. An extended buy period. People just keep dumping it. If the price of advanced PI is actually going sideways, one would think that things that are affected by it in great volume would be moving sideways as well, such as structures, right? So those eat up a lot of PI. If you bought into nano factories, you may have poised yourself into a good position to actually resell if it actually cycles back up. Sounds pretty good. There was an opportunity for nano factories then, hopefully. Otherwise, it might just create another plateau right above the 20-day moving average. It could probably do. But even if it does plateau, that's actually plateauing at the high end, not at the low end, which is good if you were holding on to this for a while. So this may have caused an opportunity for you to, or may cause in the future, an opportunity for you to sell it. We'll see, man. It's just weird to see nanofactory. It's not nanofactory specifically, but advanced PIC. So to see it so depressed for so long, it's pretty crazy. You would think that's actually making things cheap, but it's actually not. It's just making things. It's just making the people who use it to build things more. Have their operations be more profitable. Nothing crazy for organic motor applicators. It seems like it's continuing the trend of them being the whole category being a buy. And definitely the same for recursive computing module. Seems to be so good. Self-harmonizing is totally flat. Totally flat. I bought this right at 2000, so I can't even sell it yet. I have to wait. I still have this. Stair conduits going even further down. New 90-day lows. Wow. So people dumped broadcast nodes and people dumped stereo conduits. What are those two? Those are the cheaper ones to make. Maybe that's why. It's a genuine oversupply. Wetware mainframe still going sideways. Alright, so nothing too dramatic. It seems like they're just maintaining themselves as buys. I really can't see myself calling these out again until they actually become sellable. When would that be? I don't know. It's almost as if... Well, let's break that down. So people who do PI don't value the time that they use doing PI. And they're okay with selling it even at these levels. So that's what it comes down to. So what's the bottom? What is the absolute rock bottom of that behavior set? Technically nothing, because they don't the people who do PI in such a scale that they don't value the time they put in. It has no value to them. That's like that. You know what I mean? The activity actually has no value to them. They don't know that they're losing out. on opportunity cost, potentially, which they probably are if they can do something else besides just PI on that character. So fundamentally speaking, there is no rock bottom for these prices. For all we know, it can continue to just slide down. That's really strange. There's nothing propping the price up. There's nothing to prop the price up, rather. So we'll see. So who would best benefit from this? Manufacturers. Manufacturers would best benefit from this. If there are items out there that heavily use PI, like structures, but even structures, they're quite oversupplied already. At least the smaller stuff, right? So something to consider if you're a big time producer out there. Consider exploring things that actually use PI as an input. Alright, so those were all our buys. Now we're gonna start off with our sells. We called geckos. Geckos was a hard sell last week too. It was really up there, really up there. Oh, look at that! It finally broke. It took a while to break, man. Oh my god! So it broke right at, it was a historical high. It was we called it at historical highs, so that was good. As soon as we called it, and it couldn't go anymore. It ran out of steam. So this is a very it's a very normal behavior. It was just people just weren't willing to buy it at that price point anymore. And then when that happens, you see a lot more action starting to come into the buy side as opposed to the sell side, because especially if the buy price starts to follow on that upward trend as well, then it becomes okay to just dump it into buys at that point because the buy price has increased in value, right? Okay, very normal behavior. Hopefully someone was able to see. It doesn't even look like anyone really unloaded all that much, at least on the last 7 days, at least when it was actually in the historic high, which is kind of weird. All right, that means it didn't take much to actually push the price to. It didn't take much for the correction to be made, which is really strange. It's almost like a missed opportunity it is a missed opportunity at a universal level. That's unfortunate. That's super unfortunate. Because it is kind of expensive. 130? That's a lot, man. That's a lot for a single gecko. Even if it is like one of the best drones out there. It's still. Imagine getting gagged with that thing. Jesus. Alright, next one. Tritanium. We call that actually we unfortunately called it. We put it in the wrong category last week. It's actually a sell. So let's take a look at that. It's continuing to be a sell. Wow. That's really interesting. So 7 days ago. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 5 even. At least for the median, 5 even. Across 5. High volume too. Is this a response? Is this a response to destruction? Can't imagine this to be extended manipulation. That's a lot of trit to be moving. A lot of trit. Could someone have manipulated this from 4.7 to 5.5? That's a lot, man. That's a lot. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, sure. It's always possible. That is very impressive. Very impressive if it's the manipulation and not genuine demand mechanics. So yeah, it was a good call. It was a good call for sell for trit if you were just holding on to it and you weren't intending to do anything with it anyway. All right, next one's Morphite. Still a sell. Let's go back 7 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it's kind of that was a ballsy call. Wow, looking back, that's a ballsy call. I actually I'm pretty surprised I made that call. I think I made that call as a general move due to the general price movement anyway. But when we made that call, it was a small correction, but then it picked right back up. It picked right back up. So, wow. I'm usually not that aggressive with these calls, but that was a good one. That was a really good one. I mean, from a volume perspective, relative to other minerals, morphite doesn't move a whole lot. But then at the same time, it actually has a lot more value. So that kind of evens out, right? So if someone actually had played this when we called it, and it definitely showed added volume as well during the last 7 days. So someone may have really made out on our morphite call if someone actually acted on it. So hopefully one of you guys actually did. Hopefully one of you guys did. All right. And helium isotope. Yep. It stayed as a cell. Those faxes, man. Those faxes got to supply themselves. Apostles, the apostles gotta move. At least in Provi, definitely use a lot of archons too. So the whole Amar line. You gotta stick to the RP, man. You gotta stick to the look. Yeah, we called helium isotopes as a cell. Not a whole lot of extra added volume, so just normal price behavior. People just need it, genuinely need it at that point. Good call. And called the Nester. Not sure why we call it Nester, but let's take a look. Still steadily climbing. Wow. So last week we made the comment of this. This is a general trend that's happening across all the Sisters of Eve LP ships. So the Nestor, the Stratios, the Estero, they're all exhibiting the same price movement right now. So I definitely believe it's an LP value thing, not a oh my god we need Nestors as part of our fleet comp now. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. Maybe for a small group of people out there, like wormholers and stuff like that. But yeah, I think this is due to LP value. Okay. All right, so that's all our calls from last week. So I think all in all, we had pretty steady calls. And moving from there, I just want to show you guys. This is a battle report from this week. Fight I participated in, but not really on grade. I was in another fleet. Alright, so with that battle report, it was basically PL and Friends versus Provi and Friends. Provi and Friends being Provi Block plus Test, and versus Pam Fam and NC. Not a very one-sided fight. I think it's pretty close to even for the most part. Take a look to make sure I'm following along. Alright, as far as efficiency goes, 38.6% goes to CVA, 61.4% goes to PamFam NC. So, yeah, I mean, not a total blowout, but definitely they were ahead. If I'm not mistaken, this was the fleet where we got smart bombed. Yeah, these dang rogues, man. We got smart bombed, and the fleet just disintegrated. It is what it is. It is what it is. Reviewing this, I know, I think even the first time we started with these battle reports, you're gonna start seeing the same ships over and over and over. We're seeing Archons, tons of Archons. Seeing Chimeras. Seeing Rogues. Nidhoggers. Big capital engagements, man. Big capital engagements. Not a lot of capital losses, though. It's so cool to see nightmares being fielded by tests. So absolutely cool, because you know that's using natural resources. That's a common. You know, the VPCs drop naturally in their space. It's all in our space too. It's awesome. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Make use of the stuff that's around you. Love it. This was a huge engagement, guys. Absolutely huge. Considering the space, huge. I just want to show that to you guys, because I want to show you guys what's actually being destroyed, like really actually being what's fighting out there and what's dying. All right, those are really important things for any kind of market guy of any capacity. All right. Besides that, I just want to make a comment on, you know, so I wasn't part of that fleet specifically. I was part of the Entosis crew. I'm not sure how we find ourselves in this position where the solve mechanic is Entosis. Doesn't make sense to me. It's not fun. It's not fun at all. I mean, I can see the kind of the chasing around and stuff like that. Was like, I wish there was a better way. I mean, you know, like this fight on the Keepstar is actually getting real world news coverage. Believe it or not, there's actually I saw something in my Twitter feed. Pro God Legend out there is being interviewed in some news stations. Like, oh shit, it's PGL, man. What the fuck? But it's great to see him. It's great to see him. It's great to see him represent Eve. It's great to see someone with such knowledge actually speak of what's going on out there. And it appears that the biggest draw for that news is there's an estimated potential of $1 million real money about to potentially on that's at risk in that fight in 9-4. I mean that's great. That's the kind of stuff that actually captures the imagination of like real world news outlets, right? When the video game stuff becomes relevant with real money. But you know, before we got started, I was just looking at the streams for the Keepstar fights. Like, I mean, it's not a fight. I mean, it's not a fight. It's literally like slow-mo ship moving. You know. Like if you get disconnected, don't even bother going back in. You know what I mean? So I wish there was a way to fix that. I wish there was a way to have a better large fight experience in Eve. But I like, you know, I know some people that actually took off work for that. Like, why would you? I wouldn't take off work for that. I wouldn't call in for that. No way. No way. Not just be sticking around there. No way, man. It's just, nah, that's just me. Alright, but that's my soapbox of I wish we had better solve mechanics. That was it, guys, I swear. And moving on to... Oh, one quick thing before we get started with our contract. So today we're going to continue with me getting really lucky and capturing more capital component contracts. And with that being said, I really am sitting down and doing the numbers and placing myself in a position where I can be a dedicated capital ship producer. So the building is not an issue. The movement of the minerals is not an issue. What the issue is for me is once it's built in pocket, I need to be able to move it to more attractive marketplaces, right? So I build it in my local pocket where I live in Nullsec, in Providence, but I need to move it where people know to look for capitals, or it's more convenient for them to buy it, right? So the challenge there is to have, like, so Rodin can fly all Amar, and I have to put myself in a position where Rodin will be able to not necessarily fit, but at least fly all the combat capital ships that I intend to build, to move them to better locales for selling. Let me know what you think about that. Is that overkill? Is that kind of not necessary? At least in the scenario that I find myself, being a Providence resident, and then building it in, our engineering complexes, the potential buyer, may or may not be able to actually dock there if they're in neutral. So, and I'll be honest with you. I mean, I'm building this stuff. I don't particularly care who buys it. I'm going to be absolutely honest. I don't particularly care who buys it. All right. So if it's a neutral, so be it. But I really need to be able to place the product where it's more likely to be bought. So that's just my take on that. And I'll let you know how that goes. I don't, besides the ability to move the built capital to a better market, I don't see any challenge with actually getting the minerals in, getting the BPCs, build facilities. I'm not gonna lie, like UI Federation, man, we got a really nice like indie complex of citadels. Nice. I'm very thankful to be in such an organization where they care about that kind of stuff, the local production stuff. It's really, really good. So I'll keep you guys updated and see what it's like. So right now, with the build that I'm doing right now, I'm intending on building an Archon. I can fly carriers, but I really got to tidy up my fighter skills. So I am right now. So if you've been watching the show, you've noticed that I've been capturing these capital components for, I don't know, 1/4 of the market value, 1/2 of the mineral price, somewhere around there. And I only needed about 200 million ISK worth of mineral buy orders to turn into capital components to actually finish the build. So I'm looking at potentially like a 10 to 15% profit margin from build cost on this Archon that I'm intending to build. I'm really interested to see like what's the common profit margin out there for you guys, for you cap builders out there. Is that too high, too low? Is that just about right? Let me know. I'm really interested to see to know about you guys' experiences, especially if you're a Provi builder. Morning Sons says, if you don't care about who buys the caps, go nuts and put them in stations. That's a really good point. And that's kind of why I wanted Rodent to be able to move them. I think if I'm really going on selling mode, I think it's better to put them in low sec. Or is that a really silly idea? I don't know. I imagine in low sec, it basically becomes available to anybody, right? Regardless of your affiliation, as long as you can dock in the station. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I mean, I'm just really spitballing here. As a process, the only thing I really want to make sure I really got down pat is the ability to get the stuff built. I can worry. I'm not in such a rush to sell them because I make sure to have a little bit of ISK float anyway, so I'm not too worried about that. Worst case scenario, I'll use it myself when I die out there, especially since I'm joining when there's coalition fleets. 9 times out of 10, I'm in a cap fleet. So there you go. I could always use it if anything else. Songs are apostles. Speaking of which, man, I don't know if you guys, if there's anybody out there that's like aspiring to be like in a cap fleet. It's not that exciting. I'll just tell you that right. It's not that exciting. It's a lot of. It can be a lot of work. It's a lot of strategic level work and tasking. So just it's not as exciting as you think it is, because they're huge, man. They're strategic assets. They're not necessarily tactical assets. So the scope of their maneuvers are much larger scale. Morning Sun says, no clue about null or low, but take into account you need to actually get back to your staging too. You could set medclone in staging and just self-destruct the pod to get it back once you drop it off. Yeah, that's true. It's just I know that there's the sunk cost of the skill books for Rodent to buy and inject, right? But I can fly all of Amar now. I think I have Galentin next lined up. And it's just identifying, for the long-term answer really is to be able to fly everything. You have, because you never know what's gonna be hot, right? You never know when the meta changes. You want to be ready when the meta changes, and when it eventually and because it does change, guys. It's just when it does, sometimes you don't want to get caught off guard. You want to be ready when it does change, and it stays there for a good while, right? All right, cool. Well, I definitely am looking forward to hopefully some responses on that, just so that I can expand on my experience too. So, all right, so let's look at some contracts. So this is the last capital component contract that I got. So this one bought for 188 million, and it's valued at 331 to 497 million. That's the very common story for us. So very, very fortunate, very fortunate. Same seller. It's basically my CEO on my Traders Corporation, Industrial Pursuits. So if anyone's actually interested out there in joining a very, not necessarily industry, like, of course we got miners and stuff like that, but actual market play, like actual cooperative market play, hit me up. Hit me up. Actually, you know what? I'll do you one better. I'll post our public. Actually, I should ask my CEO first if that's okay. But if it is, I will post it next week. Before I do something silly like that. All right. But I will ask. So that corp is called Industrial Pursuits, and that's with Caesar, who I described last week. And we do a lot of genuine cooperative market play in region. Like right now, I think I'm still managing some orders for them for the corporation. So we do stuff like that, There's obviously, of course, mining in the production side, and bouncing between high sec and low sec. So if that's interesting to you, hit me an in-game mail too, and I'll point you in the right direction. Okay. So that's Industrial Pursuits, the corporation of Robro, who is there right now, basically doing the straight up marketplace stuff in Providence, like in a dedicated manner. Actually, I really lucked out being in that corporation for that side of the gameplay. Still love my YF bros though. All right, so that's the last bit of the capital components I actually need. I actually have everything, but the mineral buy orders already got matched already. I just got to deliver it to Pocket, start building the Archon. And got a couple more here. It was actually all came from the same person. One of my corp mates. I think he's just clearing out his hangars here. So I actually he offered these contracts, and I just offered. I'm very upfront when I work these contracts. Like, hey man, I just basically do this. I do an EVE appraisal, set it to Amar, whatever the buy amount is, that's what I'll offer you, straight up, no haggling. That's the number. That's the number on the table for me. Okay. So with that one, that's just random loot, valued at, I bought it for 75 million, and it's got a sell value of 103. Not so crazy. This one, it's random loot, much larger, valued at 689, and and has a sell value of 965 million. That's huge. It didn't even take that much M3. It didn't even take that much M3 to move that stuff. I think. Well, I take that back. The ships took a minute. It must have taken 2 trips, if not just one solid one. And finally, the last contract I got from my corp mate. So that's a contract that I bought for 69 million, random loot stuff, and then it can be sold for 90 mil. So all in all, that's pretty good. I mean, let's crunch the big one at least. Because the big one's got potentially large. It's pretty big margin. So the large contract that was well for 689, it's got a 40% margin. Great. This is why I don't have to undock to make money in Providence. I don't, man. I don't undock to make money in Providence. If I'm undocked, if Rodin is undocked in Providence, rest assured, he is not ratting. He is not mining. Don't even bother to attack me. I am actually probably out for combat. Or exploration. Or exploration. There's that too, right? Alright, so with that... Alright, so moving on to now our calls for the week. Alright, we're going to start off with a buy call on Plex. I'm so tempted to go hard on this, man. Sarge, I'm not gonna give you some. Like, it's sitting in the Kevlik EC. Actually, yeah, man. If legit though, Sarge, if you need contacts, I'll hook you up. I'll hook you up. That corporation is really good. I'm not sure why they don't get a lot more cooperative dealings with folks in Provi. They're a really good crew, man. I really like that CEO. I really like Caesar when it comes to that stuff because he's a market and industrial purist. I give him respect, man. I give him respect. He's a good dude. He's a good dude. He's a good dude, and he's good for Providence. But I don't think a lot of people know him. Which is a shame. All right, Plex. The Plex picture. And if you got disposable income right now, if you got disposable space income right now, buy Plex. I was just like, yeah, the good guys, they give me a run for their money. Yeah, maybe. So far, I haven't had any complaints, man. I mean, I've been able to help them with being able to manage some of their orders for them. And I get and then not just from Caesar himself too, but a lot of my corp mates over there, just getting into the market game. You know, they're getting into the market game, right? And Provi's a really good place for that, honestly, because Provi's active. It's really active. So Plex right now for the last, I don't know, month has been basically going sideways, but I can't see the price going down from here. I really can't. I have a hard time believing that the price is going to go down from here. Just from a fundamental standpoint, I think the Plex just has a lot more utility right now, and that adds very inherent value to it, right? Can it go up from? I think it's more likely for it to go up from here versus to go down from here. If you think about it, you have these conflicts that are happening. You got probably even more conflicts happening as soon as it's announced, like a hard date when outposts will become faction Fortizars. When that gets announced, rest assured, the build-up or there's going to be a continued build-up for, you know, to take those things, either to take them or to defend against them from being taken. I guarantee it. So with that being said, I don't see the value of Plex going down because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for it to go down, especially when people are going to need. Because you couple the Plex with the Alpha account, with the skill injectors, with it being able to get in there and fight, even though you may not have logged in all those years. All right, as a newcomer, you can participate at that level if you're willing to put in a little bit of cash. I shouldn't say a little bit. It's not a little bit of cash for one. That's a lie. All right, a fair amount of cash to be able to participate in that kind of gameplay. If you're that guy that wants to do it, this is your way to do it. And with that being said, I see no value. I see no reason for Plex to go down from a fundamental standpoint. I really want to get some Plex, but at the same time, I really need the liquid to be the engine for my capital production. So I'm really stuck in a hard place too. Like I really want to go all in on Plex, but I can't. So I'd rather do the cap production thing. Because I've actually never done it at this scale. I'm really excited about it. So buy Plex, or at least watch it. Watch it. What's gonna be the? Oh well, maybe this is a better question. When would be a good? What does the Plex picture look like from a graph standpoint before it shoots up? That's the thing, guys. You're actually, from a graph perspective, you're actually not gonna know. Not at least not in the in-game graph. What I would suggest you guys do though is if you go to Eve Mogul, the website Eve Mogul, I think it's actually, let me see if I can link that. There's a module in there for market graphs, and they just have a little bit better tools to actually determine where this is happening. Of course, if you know how to use R or any other kind of graphing program, or just making your own tools, you'll be able to figure that out. All right. The one thing that I would say is using technical indicators that actually reference not necessarily moving averages, but an RSI would really be nice. Relative strength indicator. Actually, let me see if I can actually capture it. Actually, no, I can't do that. It takes a while for that to load. Actually, we got time. Hey, fuck it. I should probably do a segment on this, actually. Just log in to see. Oh, okay, item. Okay. Hopefully I'll be able to show you guys what the Plex picture looks like using other tools. Nope, not crest. Prosper. Alright. I'm gonna probably do a screen grab of this. That's probably the most appropriate. Once it's done loading. While that's going, we'll carry on. So going back to that, if your only tool set is just looking in game, it's not gonna be enough to see when the flip might happen for Plex. It's not there. It's not enough tools in there. It's not enough technical indicators in game. All right. Hopefully this will come up soon. All right, but moving on. This is an observe, so I'm not calling this a buy, but observe accelerant decryptors. Okay. What are decryptors? Decryptors are used to increase your chances of having a successful invention for Tech 2 BPCs. Sarge says, keep star battle over. Lost pause damage. Wow, okay. You don't have to wait for downtime. Dang. I couldn't imagine being in that system, Sarge. I can't do it. Alright, I'm calling observe for a buy on accelerant decryptors. It is low right now, but I'm not sure if this is actually the lowest it'll be for this cycle. I would say give it another day and see what it looks like. It's still hovering around where it is right now, where you can get it for like, what's this? 450 or so, 450K, somewhere around there. I think that's a good buy for that. And looking at the volume, it plays between the 2,500 to 5,000 per day volume. That's pretty reasonable if you can capture that. Well, right now, well, let's see. Is it even tradable? 485 to 529. Let's take a look. 21%, yeah, very tradable. Or flippable, rather. Very, very flippable. So something to consider. I don't think it'll hurt if you actually put a buy order now. I just don't think if this is the hard bottom for this cycle. All right. But can it go back up to the levels of 600K? Maybe not nearly as much, but we'll see. Depending on how much Tech 2 stuff actually is getting destroyed out there and the need for the BPCs to be replaced. That's really the biggest factor, though, isn't it? All right, next item, Ferrogel. It's been sitting sideways for a good while. Can it get lower? I don't see this getting lower, guys. I really don't. Not with this level of destruction that's happening. Ferrogel and what we're going to be calling next hypersynaptic fibers. These six are kind of the pricier of the advancement materials, at least a little bit above average, right? If they're sitting at this level, I think it's a really good buy. I think this thing has been in a good place to be bought up for a good while, and you see spikes of it being bought up, bam, 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 or not necessarily bought up, but volume exchanging hands. I think that's a better term. So there's that. I think it's at a buy. Do I expect this to hike up next week? I'll be surprised if it does, but I don't expect it to. This is definitely a mid to long term call. 3 months, at least 3 months. Or not at least 3 months, but right around that neighborhood of potentially holding on to this for 3 months, potentially. Okay. So that's the Ferrogel picture. Next one I'm going to look at the hypersynaptic fibers. It looks very, very similar. Very, very similar. Very, very similar. So, I'm gonna take a guess. I'm not a big Tech 2 guy. I'm a Tech 3 guy. I'm a big, something tells me that hypersynaptic fibers and Ferrogel probably go in tandem on a lot of builds, or whatever it is that they end up building. They go in tandem, all right? In number of units needed. Okay, that's what I'm guessing. I don't know that as a fact. I'm just guessing because based on the appearance of these graphs and how much they actually follow each other. So I think it's a pretty fair guess. Same thing, I'm not sure what actually gets built by hypersynaptic fiber, or what the list of things are that gets built specifically by the hypersynaptic fibers and Ferrogel combo. But whatever it is, they're moving in tandem. They're absolutely moving in tandem. Same thing. If you're okay holding on to this for potentially 3 months, I think this is a good buy. So, if you have time, please actually review the advanced materials section or category, even in JITA, just to have a kind of a general picture of what the advanced material picture in Empire looks like in the distribution center levels. Okay. Could this picture actually be very different in your local NULSEC area? It probably is. It probably is. I mean, that's a lot of. It's kind of like bootlegging back in the day, right? I mean, a lot of these are like homegrown operations, like the building and the capturing of these items and and using the refineries and stuff like that, which I really need to get into myself. I really, really need to get into, but I just haven't had the time because my time has been eaten up by actual fleet stuff, actual defense stuff, which is really, I love the change of pace that I'm in. I love living in Provi, and I love being in my alliance. They're a really good group, and I'm really fortunate that I'm actually able to experience this kind of gameplay now, which is, because I haven't been a NULSEC guy at all. Last time I was in NULSEC, I was kicked out of Angel Space by White Noise. Yeah. Like, I'm not even counting my time in Circle 2. Not even counting that. I was there for like 2 weeks. Not even counting that. I didn't even realize I was actually in that coalition until I moved. Not even counting it. Fibers! Oh, you're the best, Sarge. You're the best. It builds a lot of stuff, man. Holy crap. Oh, Warfare links? Oh, man. It makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Wow. That's cool. Thanks for the link, man. This is a really cool site. Wow. Neat. And Ferrigel. Capitals. Wow, okay. Oh, Tech 2 capital stuff. Neat. Probably jump freighter stuff, right? I think you mentioned that earlier today. Jump freighter stuff. Awesome. I have to steal this website. Alright, great. Thanks, Sarge. Appreciate it. Alright, the next one I'm going to look at, guys, are cells. So I'm going to start off with large-scale injectors. If you've spent any time with us, anytime we call Plex, we almost always call injectors. Because they move inverse of each other. Trucker's one of my Bibles. It's going to have to be mine too now, Sarge. That's a really good reference. Really, really good. All right, let's take a look. I think the last time we looked at injectors, we actually looked at small ones because of it's a lot more. There was a lot more volatility. But for this very specific example, we're going to use large ones. Okay. They're so expensive now. It's too expensive for me. It's too expensive for me to buy it and actually use this thing. But it's been a sell for a good while. It's been steadily trending upwards, inverse of Plex trending down. All right, and one follows the other. All right, one follows the other. If Plex is depressed and large scale injectors are going up, that means there's actually money to be made continuing your zombie farm. It's just a matter of effort, I guess, like the physical manual labor of clicking type of effort. All right. So this is, historical highs. It continues to break its historical highs. I'm not sure how to feel about people willing to buy large-scale injectors for 830 million and climbing. Is that good for the game? I don't know if that's good for the game for that to cost that much. I mean, it's market forces that's making it go up like that, but people are still finding it valuable enough to buy. I don't know. We'll see, man. I mean, I guess it's easy. It's still easy enough to make ISK to scale using large scale injectors for zombie farms or to scale inject into a character that can make the ISK, right? So I guess there's value. Personally, I just don't see the value. I think it's too expensive for me. I'm not feeling compelled to use large scale injectors at that price. Personally, no. All right, next one I'm going to call out is robotics. Robotics has been on a massive run right now, guys. So hopefully you guys have seen this. Hopefully this isn't news to you. It's on a massive run the last month. Massive. People are just straight buying this stuff. Like the stuff, the stuff on the sell side of the equation. It's just there's a lot of interaction on the sell side right now. And we can see that through the volume not actually changing a whole lot. So people are just straight buying it. Just, I need the robotics now. I need it now. I need it now. I need it now. All right, that's what's happening. Has it kind of reached the top end here? Has it reached the ceiling? It looks like it's reached the ceiling. At least right now in the picture as we see it right now. So if you have a whole bunch of robotics and you don't intend to do anything with it, or you kind of say, I kind of just have it, but I can't really move it, offer to sell it to someone. I'm pretty I'm pretty sure they're gonna want to buy it from you. If someone came up to me right now in Providence and they offered a ton of robotics in a dockable station or Citadel, I would grab that stuff right now. I would grab it right now if it was offered to me. So someone offer it to me, please. Eek says PI stuff back to business. P4s are pretty depressed still, but P3s and under seems to have enough volatility to make plays, Eek. So that's what I would play right now. So not E4. So who can really profit from this? The guys who do factory planets. Like that was me. That was me. Actually, no, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that. Factory planet guys that focus on up to P3s, I think can be okay. If you're going into the land of P4s, I think it's going to be more productive to actually focus on P3s and below with factory planets on a mass scale versus advanced versus the actual P4s. At least with the ones that we tend to look at. That picture may not be the same for other PI items, but at least for the ones we tend to look at, that's what that seems to be the perception. Okay. Great question, though. Great question. Because it doesn't quite all fit when you look at it, the PI just as a linear thing, but because it's actually not a linear thing, right? The process actually puts you through different levels of PI, right? And finally, Fernite Carbide. This really caught me by surprise because the other carbides actually aren't doing too well. So Fernite Carbide is the one oddball one. He says, time to move my P4 stuff stuck in Thera. Holy crap, it's in Thera? Oh shit. Are you using that like as a distribution point? That's actually kind of cool. Alright guys, so let's take a look at Fernite Carbide specifically. Actually, let me bring up the category so we can look at the other carbides too. Let's first start off with the Fernite Carbide as a cell. It's the last 7 days or so. It's been moving up there. So Fernite Carbide, so that's Tech 2 Minmatar stuff. Alright. Tech 2 Minmatar stuff are moving right now, man. From a ship perspective, what can this be? I don't think this is a ship thing. I think this is more of a module thing. It makes more sense for it to be a module thing versus the ship thing. I mean, rapiers are cool and all, and they're really good in Tosis fights, but I don't think rapiers are carrying the Fernite Carbides right now. It's a module thing. I'm certain of it. So definite sell for Fernite Carbide. If you have a whole lot of these, or you have the materials to make the Fernite Carbide and sell the Fernite Carbide as is, I think you're gonna be in good shape. Oh, Eek says, well, I was leaving in a rush, and the PI is stupid expensive to move, not in Tech 1D. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So definitely a sell on Fernite Carbides, but let's take a quick look at the other carbides. Right? So what are these carbides? So they're the largest racial components as far as advanced materials are concerned, right? So Fernite Carbide does specifically Tech 2 Minmatar things, both modules and ships, okay? Crystalline Carbide, it's a bit depressed, but starting to get up there. This is Galente. Not nearly as aggressive as the Fernite Carbide, okay? It's like artillery ammo, yeah. Yeah, Tech 2 stuff, man. Tech 2 stuff, Starch. It's crazy. Those damn rapiers too, I bet you. But probably not as much, but still, those damn rapiers. Titanium Caldari, starting to get up there. The rest of these might start to follow suit. So that's actually I'm kind of glad we brought that up. So the others maybe sitting more on buy opportunities versus the Fernite Carbide, which is an absolute sell opportunity right now. And tungsten's the Amar. It's going up there too. Tech 2 Amar stuff, gotta love it. It's probably got to do with armor stuff, if anything. All right, so yeah, that's it. That's all I got, really. Nothing too crazy. I think we had a pretty cool discussion today, guys. It's pretty cool to be actually calling out advancing materials again. We haven't done that in a good while. uh, I mean, I don't know if it's gonna be any obvious market stuff. Actually, someone from the beginning there was actually saying Macarials, because they're dying. So take a look at Macarials. They're dying now. They're probably gonna need to be replenished. So. It's too high right now, man. This was they were already bought as a lead up. They were already bought as a lead up to this event. Too late to I would nah. Don't touch Macarials right now. Do not touch Macarials right now. Don't buy into this. Don't buy into the hype because it's already at hype mode. Don't buy into the hype. The activity that needed the purchasing of a lot of these Macs is already happening, and it's gonna be done in the next like 8 hours or so. So don't buy Macs right now. See what the picture looks like the next 5 days. Don't unless you're selling Macs, don't do anything with it, please. All right, that's all I got. This is any expectations for next week? I don't have anything, honestly. What I really need to do, and maybe I can just do screen grabs of this, is actual market pictures, graphs just like this, but coming directly from Provi. I think that's something I'll look into. I'm not sure how quickly I can actually come up with those, or what to actually look at. But I think that's something worth exploring because I keep referencing Provi stuff, but it'd be nice to actually show you guys pictures of Provi. All right. Yeah, see the Eve Mogul OHLC data for the Plex hasn't come up yet. That's unfortunate, but that's definitely that may be more appropriate for me to actually do that as a separate video, but we'll see. Oh, Eek says, I'm confused why Plexus buy and skill injectors sell. Let's take a look at it real quick, man. We're calling Plexus a buy because it's been sitting sideways and it's depressed. It's basically sitting in a price correction from where it was of 3.4 million. Right now it's sitting at 3.1. So it's a buy opportunity because it's cheaper versus a month ago, and it's staying cheap. So it's a buy. It looks like a buy opportunity. Now that answer may be different depending on your time horizon, but for someone like me who kind of does stuff at the quarterly time interval, that's a good enough indicator for me to actually buy it. Okay. Again, that's Plex, skill injector, stuff like that, like player services. It's very time horizon relevant for someone who actually trades in it. Okay, so something to consider when you actually buy and sell these, not just follow what people like me say, because that's what's apparent to me. All right, that your financial outlook may be very different from what I tend to look at. Eek says, I mean, they are connected, right? Yeah, they are connected. The relationship tends to be inverse of each other. When one's high, the other's low. Because if you think about it, let's take a look at the skill injectors real quick, since you asked for it. So Plexus are low, or not low, but they're lower, right? And large skill injectors are rising. If you notice, the period that the large skill injectors are rising coincides with the period that the Plex is depressed. Okay, so let me pose to you a scenario. I'm a zombie farmer. I buy Plex to keep my zombie accounts subbed. If the price of Plex is depressed, I can more cheaply maintain my Omega zombie farm and then sell the large scale injectors at a profit that's more valuable than the cost of the Plex, unit for unit. So if you're a zombie, so does that mean there's still money in zombie farming and activities like that? Yes. Does it require more actual real life effort, like labor clicking? Probably. All right, but that's just one example. There are other examples, of course. It's got to do more with the actual usability of the tune, as far as a ratting tune or mining tune or whatever, right? Or it could just be plain old being able to maintain a sub and being able to skill inject into an Abaddon or whatever the case may be, right? It's a V and I, who knows, right? But that's one of the documented relationships of these plexus and large scale injectors and other player service items like that. Okay, they're all tied together, and unlike the other items, when you actually put this information into a regular graphing program, they just do their own thing. They don't follow the same technical. You couldn't really use the same technical analysis tools for plexus, for skill injectors. The same technical indicators, you would actually have to adjust it. Like, for example, the relative strength index that you can typically use for modules and ships, if you use the same parameters of that technical indicator against plex and large scale injectors, you're gonna make really bad calls. Hey, yeah, bro, what's up, man? I'm just talking about the corp. I literally was just talking about us. I wasn't sure if Caesar was okay with me posting the public Discord, so I'll ask first, and hopefully I can do that next week. But yeah, so that's. I really wish this pulled up, man. It doesn't. Oh wait, it pulled up. I need to do a video on this. I can't do it in such an impromptu fashion, actually. But real quick, as a quick explanation, they don't share the same limits of those technical indicators. Like I said, they go like really to the extreme of those limits. So maybe that's something I can actually talk about next week, hopefully. But so moving forward to next week, I'm gonna see about if there's any value in showing some actual Providence charts. Hopefully I can continue with the contract stuff and give you guys updates on my capital production schemes. But besides that, not a whole lot. I mean, I think we're really just playing along with the soft whack-a-mole right now. It's not a whole lot really to talk about besides that. A lot of people are just engaged in that right now, so we'll see. And maybe there's going to be some market fallout from the 9.4 stuff. We'll see. I kind of doubt it, to be honest. The nullsec stuff, I mean, a lot of these organizations have basically been able to very locally keep themselves fitted and maintain themselves as a fighting force without actually having to rely too much in JITA. So that's really good. So you don't really see the large effects on that. By the time you feel it in JITA, it's actually kind of late. So at a universal level. All right, well, that's really all I got, guys. Hope you had a good time discussing some market stuff with us here, and looking forward to next week. And we'll see. Hopefully, someone makes a big enough play on the Plex. Maybe we'll move it around a bit. That's all I got, guys. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys next week. I'll see you in Discord, Pi. Yeah, buddy. Thanks, guys. See you next week.